Bills are not a consequence of living. They are a condition of the modern economy. Across developed nations, the same quiet pattern repeats. Money enters accounts. Money leaves on schedule. Nothing dramatic happens. No alarms sound. Yet freedom erodes in measured intervals. The system does not rely on force. It relies on rhythm. Once a month, again next month, again after that. Modern economies did not invent bills to recover costs. They refined them to preserve dependence. This is not about excess. It is not about waste. It is about continuity. The most successful financial structures are not built to end, they are built to repeat. In earlier economies, payment marked completion, a debt was settled, a service ended, an exchange closed the loop. That closure was dangerous. Completion gives people space. Space allows reassessment. Reassessment threatens stability. So systems evolved. Instead of selling outcomes, they sold access. Instead of charging once, they charged forever. Instead of a clear price, they created a cycle. Electricity did not become more complex. Water did not become more mysterious. Communication did not suddenly demand permanent rent, but billing did. Monthly billing transformed essentials into subscriptions. Subscriptions transformed survival into obligation. The reframing was subtle. You were no longer paying for what you used, you were paying to remain included. Exclusion became the threat. In developed nations, trust replaced enforcement. The system assumed payment before it was demanded. Accounts were linked. Withdrawals automated. Consent embedded into infrastructure. Silence became compliance. At first, monthly bills were predictable. Predictability felt fair. Fairness created confidence. Confidence reduced resistance. Once resistance disappeared, flexibility vanished too. Prices no longer needed explanation. Increases no longer required negotiation. The bill arrived as a statement, not a question. This was not accidental. Financial systems learned something early. People will fight a large loss. They will not fight a small certainty. A recurring charge feels smaller than a single demand, even when it costs more. Time hides extraction better than complexity ever could. In modern economies, revenue stability matters more than price accuracy. Investors do not value fairness. They value predictability. Monthly billing guarantees predictability. From the system's perspective, the perfect customer is not wealthy, it is permanent. A customer who never finishes paying is more valuable than one who pays in full. This is the logic beneath endless bills. Telecommunications revealed it first. Connection fees became monthly plans. Plans became bundles. Bundles became contracts. The service barely changed. The obligation did. Ownership faded. Access replaced it. You no longer owned the line. You rented continuity. That same structure spread quietly. Insurance adopted it. Housing adapted it. Software perfected it. Even products became services. Even services became ecosystems. A refrigerator did not just cool food. It required connectivity. Connectivity required a plan. The plan required renewal. The reframing sentence arrives here. What appears as convenience is often a loss of finality. Finality is dangerous to systems built on growth. Growth requires motion. Motion requires payment. Payment requires repetition. Monthly bills are not priced for cost. They are priced for tolerance. Tolerance is tested slowly. A small increase is introduced, rarely explained, never debated. The next increase references the previous one. Memory adjusts, expectation resets. Within years, the bill bears no resemblance to its origin, yet cancellation feels extreme. The system understands psychology better than arithmetic. Human attention does not track long horizons well. It tracks urgency. Monthly billing removes urgency. Nothing is due today that was not due yesterday. This dulls awareness. Awareness would invite questions. Questions would invite alternatives. Alternatives threaten permanence. So friction is added selectively. Signing up is easy. Leaving is complex. Menus hide exits, support delays closure. Processes require patience, not because it is necessary, because it is effective. In financial systems, effort is a lever. If exit requires more effort than continuation, most will continue. This is not coercion, it is design. Governments adopted similar structures. Taxes became withholding, fees embedded, penalties automated. The citizen rarely pays directly anymore. Payment happens before choice. This reduces revolt. It increases compliance. Modern economies learned that visible payment creates resistance. Invisible payment creates stability. Bills became invisible through familiarity. They arrive. They are paid. They disappear from thought until income pauses. Only then does the structure reveal itself. The bill does not stop because circumstances changed. It was never designed to. Monthly obligations assume continuity. Life does not guarantee it. This mismatch is not a flaw, it is a feature. Systems are not designed around individual volatility. They are designed around aggregate predictability. If enough people continue paying, those who cannot are acceptable losses. Late fees replace empathy. Penalties replace negotiation. Once again, repetition proves its value. A missed payment is not a signal. It is a revenue event. Fees are not punishments, they are secondary income streams. The system is indifferent to intent, it only measures outcome. From a distance, this appears cold. Up close, it feels personal. But systems do not feel. They execute. Monthly billing allows extraction without confrontation. No one knocks. No one demands. The money leaves quietly. Silence becomes the loudest enforcement mechanism ever created. Historically, this would have failed. Earlier societies required visible exchange. A farmer saw grain leave storage. A merchant counted coins. Visibility created awareness. Awareness created limits. Digital systems removed visibility. Numbers changed on screens. Balances adjusted. Nothing tangible moved. This abstraction allowed billing to detach from reality. You do not feel the weight of what leaves, you only feel the absence later. By then the structure is entrenched. Monthly bills also fragment cost. Fragmentation hides magnitude. 1,000 small payments feel lighter than one large one, even when they total more. This is not deception, it is behavioral certainty. Developed financial systems rely on certainty more than honesty. Honesty invites debate. Certainty ends it. Once billing becomes normalized, expansion follows. New categories emerge. New justifications appear. Maintenance fees, service fees, platform fees, each framed as minor, each defended as necessary. Together they form permanence. The reframing sentence again. The system does not need you to believe it is fair, only that it is unavoidable. Unavoidability is the strongest form of trust. Trust does not mean confidence in justice. It means expectation of continuity. As long as the lights stay on, payment feels justified. As long as water flows, the bill feels earned, even if prices rise faster than wages, even if usage declines. The connection is emotional, not mathematical. Modern billing exploits this. It ties payment to comfort, not value. Comfort resists disruption. Disruption threatens identity. To cancel is not just to save money, it is to risk inconvenience. The system prices inconvenience heavily. Over time, bills stop representing services. They represent normality. Normality is expensive. Normality is never free because stability is never neutral. It is financed. Behind every recurring charge sits a forecast. Forecasts are not built on individual lives. They are built on averages. Modern financial systems do not ask whether a bill is affordable. They ask whether enough people will keep paying. That difference explains everything. Once billing became permanent, income no longer needed to grow. Extraction simply needed to persist. Wages could stagnate. Bills could not. This imbalance was not accidental. It was tolerated because it was profitable. As long as payment schedules were predictable, instability could be absorbed elsewhere. Debt filled the gap. Credit smoothed the illusion. Monthly bills did not rise alone. They rose alongside lending. When cash failed, credit intervened. When credit failed, penalties followed. The system learned to monetize every phase of strain. What appears as financial discipline is often structural pressure. A household budget looks orderly only until one variable moves, a job pauses, a rate adjusts, a fee appears. The bill remains. Bills do not negotiate, they persist. In earlier economic models, hardship reduced obligation. In modern ones, hardship increases cost, late fees, interest, reinstatement charges. Suffering becomes expensive. This is not cruelty, it is automation. Systems that rely on repetition cannot adapt to exceptions. They convert exceptions into revenue. Monthly billing thrives on this rigidity. Flexibility would reduce certainty. Certainty is the asset. Investors reward predictable cash flows. They do not reward mercy. So mercy is removed by design. No one decides this in isolation. It emerges naturally from incentives. A company that offers pause loses revenue. A company that charges regardless gains. Its markets reward the latter. Over time, the former disappear. This is how billing cultures evolve without conspiracy. No meeting is required. No villain is needed. Only incentives. The reframing sentence lands here. Systems do not become exploitative by intention. They become extractive by optimization. Optimization does not ask who bears the cost. It asks whether the process scales. Monthly bills scale perfectly. They turn millions of lives into synchronized cash flows. That synchronization is power. Power does not announce itself. It stabilizes itself. Governments rely on it. Corporations rely on it. Corporations rely on it. To disrupt billing cycles would be to disrupt confidence. Confidence is the foundation of modern finance. Confidence that payments will arrive. Confidence that defaults will be contained. Confidence that continuity will survive shocks. This is why relief is temporary. Suspensions expire. Grace periods end. The system cannot pause indefinitely. It was not designed to. Even crises are absorbed into schedules. After disruption, billing resumes as if nothing happened. Memory is short. Obligation is not. People adapt faster than structures. They reduce consumption. They compromise comfort. They accept less. Bills do not. Bills represent fixed claims on future income. They assume tomorrow will resemble yesterday. When it does not, the burden shifts downward. Households adjust. Systems do not. This asymmetry defines modern economic life. You are flexible. The bill is not. Flexibility feels like freedom until it is exhausted. Once flexibility is gone, only compliance remains. That compliance is rarely conscious. It is routine. Routine is the most effective form of control ever developed. Not force. Not fear. Habit. Habitual payment feels responsible. Irresponsibility feels dangerous. The system frames itself as moral without ever stating it. To pay on time is good. To fall behind is failure. This narrative is internalized early. Children learn it through observation. Adults reinforce it through repetition. No law needs to explain it. Culture does the work. Monthly bills become markers of adulthood. Rent, utilities, insurance. To lack them is to feel incomplete, even if they consume most income. The system does not need to justify the cost. It only needs to associate payment with identity. Identity is expensive. Once identity is attached to billing, exit becomes psychological. To cancel feels like regression, like loss of status. This is why ownership declined without revolt. People did not lose things. They gained access. Access feels modern. Ownership feels burdensome. But access never ends. Ownership ends eventually. Endings are dangerous. They create reflection. Reflection invites comparison. Comparison invites change. Monthly billing prevents endings. Nothing finishes. Nothing closes. Everything continues. This continuity creates the illusion of progress while preserving extraction. Bills are updated. Interfaces modernize. Language softens, but the structure remains unchanged. Money flows upward on schedule. Upward flow does not require growth at the bottom. It requires discipline. Discipline is enforced quietly. Autopay removes choice. Defaults remove delay. The system prefers automation to persuasion. Automation does not argue. Once payment is automated, resistance requires effort. Effort deters action. Inertia wins. Inertia is not laziness. It is efficiency from the system's perspective. A population that does not constantly reevaluate expenses is ideal. Reevaluation threatens stability. Stability protects capital. Capital shapes policy. Policy protects systems. The loop closes. At no point does intent matter, only outcome. The reframing sentence returns. What feels like personal responsibility is often structural inevitability. This realization does not liberate, it unsettles. Because if the structure is the problem, effort alone cannot resolve it. Effort can delay strain. It cannot remove obligation. Monthly bills do not care how hard income was earned. They only recognize arrival. Arrival is binary, paid or unpaid. There is no narrative field in a ledger, no explanation column, just numbers. As digital finance expands, billing becomes more granular. Micro-subscriptions, usage tiers, dynamic pricing, precision increases, extraction. The more precisely a system can charge, the less escape remains. Escape depends on inefficiency. Inefficiency leaves gaps. Gaps allow breathing room. Efficiency seals them. The future of billing is not fewer charges. It is smaller, more frequent ones. So small they evade attention entirely. A cent here, a fraction there, aggregated invisibly. Visibility is the enemy. Once you notice, it is already normalized. This is how permanence survives scrutiny. Not by hiding entirely, by blending into routine. When every month looks like the last, awareness fades. Time becomes flat. Flat time is profitable. Because urgency disappears. Urgency prompts action. Flatness sustains compliance. This is why billing cycles rarely align with income cycles by accident. Mismatch creates dependence. Dependence creates leverage. Leverage stabilizes extraction. Even resistance is priced in. A certain percentage will default. A certain percentage will cancel. Models account for this. Loss is acceptable as long as flow continues. The system does not need everyone. It needs enough. Enough is always fewer than you think. That is the quiet truth beneath endless bills. They do not exist because everyone can afford them. They exist because enough people will keep paying, and so they continue. Month after month, unfinished, unresolved, unquestioned, not because they are right, but because they endure.